Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be solving today's street code question, which is find all the groups of the form line. So we are given a matrix which will consist of m cross n matrix, and then there will be a 0, which means it is a forest set, and then there will be a 1, which means it is going to be a form line, and then we need to find to keep the land organized. There are designed rectangular areas of the hectares that consist of entirely farmland. That means we need to find the form. One means farmland, the other 0 means it is going to be forested. So we need to find the this particular farmland with the coordinates. That means suppose let's say this is the farmland, and then it is connected with only this particular cell. So this is going to have two coordinates. One is going to be starting point, which is going to be top left, and then there is going to be a bottom right, which means that particular farmland is going to end at this particular right rectangle of right bottom, which is going to be bottom right. And then we need to find these particular coordinates, which is top left and then bottom right corner of each group of farmland. So in this case, this is going to be a farmland, and then this is going to be a farmland. For this we are going to have top left and then bottom right. So we are going to store 0 comma 0 as top left, and then 0 comma 0 as bottom right. And then for this we are going to store 1 comma 1 as our top left, and then bottom right is going to be 2 comma 2. So we need to find all the coordinates of this particular formula. And then if we come to here, we are going to have 0 comma 0 as top left, and then we are going to have 1 comma 1 as our bottom right, and then for this we are going to have 0. So let us see how we can solve this particular problem. So first thing we need to make sure is we need to find a formula. We need to find a farmland such that it is connected via four directions. That means it is going to be connected via right, or it is going to be connected via up, and then it can be downwards, and then it can be left. So whenever I have let's say farmland 1, now I'll connect to all the lands which are connected to this particular farmland. Suppose let's say I have 1 here. Now if I come to right, then it is going to be 0. So for this 0, we are not going to say this is the farmland as well. This is going to be some other case. So that's why we will not consider this. And then whenever I come here, it is not going to be a land. So I'll not consider this. And then for this, it is not going to be it is out of boundary. So we'll not consider. And then for this, we are also saying it is not considered. So for this farmland, we are going to have coordinates of 0 comma 0 and then 0 comma 0. So this farmland will end here itself, and then I'll travel here and then here and then here and then here. So for this farmland, whenever I say this particular cell, so for this particular cell, we need to cover all the connected cells with this particular line. That means it should be connected with one of the lines. Suppose let's say I'll start from here, and then this cell is connected to this cell, and then this cell is connected to this cell, and then this cell is connected to downwards, and then this cell is connected like downwards again, and then again this cell is connected to like this. And then whenever we say this particular farmland is ends, that means we are going to consider this is going to be our bottom right, and then this is going to be our top left. And then whenever we are considering, we need to make sure that these cells, whenever I visit one, all these particular cells are visited, and then we are taken into this particular farmland consideration only. We should not consider again. Suppose let's say if I come here, and then I'll consider this particular cell as top left and then bottom right, and then if I go to here, if I consider newly this one, that is not possible, that is not right. So we need to consider all the cells which are connected like in four directions. So I'll visit this one, so this is also connected, and then again I'll visit this one, and then again I'll visit this one. So when after completion, we'll cover all the cells which are connected to this particular farmland. So and then one more thing we need to take care is, suppose let's say I'll travel with the right direction, and then there can be a scenario like whenever I come to one, I I can I can come back to left. and then whenever I see 1, that means it is not visited. So we need to make sure that this is visited. So whenever we say this particular cell is visited, we are going to change it as 2. And then if it is 2, that means it is a land, but it is already visited land. So for this also it is going to be 2. And then for this, after visiting here, we are going to change it as 2. And then we'll come here, and then again we'll change it to 2. And then again we are going to visit this particular cell, we are going to change this to 2. So after this, completion is completed. Suppose, let's say we have 1 comma 1 here. Now we need to find, whenever we start from m cross n grid, we'll have top left as the starting point. So we are going to have 1 comma 1 as our top left, and then we need to find bottom right. That means it should be bottom and then it should be a right. That means it is going to have maximum value of xy coordinates. It is going to have maximum values of xy coordinates. And then to have the maximum value of coordinates, and then we can visit each cell with this particular DFS. That means whenever we have one cell, it is going to visit all other cells which are connected to this particular cell. And then after going through all the cells, we need to capture the maximum value of x and then maximum value of y. That means we are going to get the maximum value of x and then maximum value of y. So that will be our bottom right of this particular cell, which is going to be our formula. And then if we come to, like, suppose, let's say, let us see what is the DFS. Suppose, let's say I have cell here, and then again one more cell here, and then again one more cell here, and then again I have like this. So this particular cell is connected with these two cells, and then again these two cells. So whenever I want to do DFS, that means I'll visit this one, and then again I'll start visiting this one. I'll not visit this, and then after this I'm going to visit this, and then after completion of this I'm going to visit this, and then after completion of all cells which are connected to this particular depth, I'm going to traverse the next depth, which is going to be this one, and then again this one. So this is going to be, like, suppose, let's say one cell is connected. So we are going to traverse all the cells which are connected to this particular cell. After this traversal is completed, then we are going to consider other case which is connected to this particular cell, and then we'll traverse all the cells which are connected to this particular cell. So we'll visit all these cells. So that is going to be our DFS. So let us see the code, how we are going to calculate our answer. So we are going to have the farmland, and then we are going to have land. So I just changed it to grid. So we are going to have the answer which will store the top left and then bottom right of this particular triangle cells, rectangle cells. And then we are going to have m equal to grid size and then n equal to grids 0 dot size. So we are going to travel all the rows and then all the columns. And then let's say if it is a land, then we are going to add the coordinates. This is going to be our coordinates. Initially, it is going to be I comma j and then I comma j. So we are going to consider that, let's say this is a land. Then we are going to consider it as top left and then bottom right as of now. But let's say if I travel from here to here, then I'm going to consider these xy coordinates, and then we are going to consider whatever the previous values of this bottom right out there. We are going to consider maximum of those, and then we are going to do the DFS. After DFS, we are going to get the coordinates from this particular DFS traversal, and then we are going to push into our answer, and then we are going to return the answer. So let us see the DFS traversal. So for doing the DFS traversal, suppose, let's say I have a cell. So for this particular cell, there can be 4 scenarios. I can travel right, and then I can travel upwards, and then I can travel bottom, and then I can travel to the left. So we are going to store those coordinates like this. So suppose, let's say I want to move to the right. That means the row remains same, but then column will be incremented. That's why we are going to consider 0, 1. And then there can be different scenarios like 4 direction. So for those 4 direction, we have wrote those, and then we are going to have m and then n, and then we need to visit this particular grid. Suppose, let's say this is a cell, and then I visit this particular cell, and then after visiting this after traveling here, then I'm going to check the leftwards, right? So whenever I check leftwards, then this is also land, so it is going to call again this one, and then after this it is going to call rightwards. So it is going to be infinite loop. So that's why we are going to make sure that this particular cell is visited, and then after saying that this particular cell is visited, then we can say that if it is visited, we should not do any transition from this particular right to left. So we are not going to consider. So whenever the cell is visited, we are going to mark it as 2, so that it will not be visited again. And then we are going to consider coordinates of like bottom right cell. So we are going to consider coordinates of 2, and then the maximum of these two. And then for 3 as well, we are going to consider. And then for this particular cell, we are going to do the transition. We are going to take the 4 directions, which is going to be right, left, and then bottom, and then top. So for this, after calculating x and then y for this cells, the next cells, we are going to make sure that this should be lies in this particular grid. That means, suppose let's say I am at the top. That means 0, comma 0. Whenever I take the top direction, then it is going to be out of boundaries. That means we cannot travel out of the grid. So that's why we are going to make sure that it it lies in this range only. That means x should be greater than or equal to 0, and then x should be less than m, and then y should be greater than or equal to 0, and then y should be less than n, and then this should be a grid. And then this should be a grid, but it should not be a visited grid. It should be non-visited land. So that's why we are making sure that grid of x, y equal to 1. And then we are going to do the DFS traversal. Yeah, that's and then one more thing is the previous video which I had uploaded, like number of islands, it is going to be a similar thing. So there also we are going to do the DFS traversal. Here we are going to consider again the coordinates. Yeah, and then nothing more than what we had seen in the number of islands. It's just addition of this, and then calculating the coordinates, and then we are going to return the answer. So if we come to the time complexity, it is going to be m into n. Why? Because we are going to consider each cell, and then there can be, like, as we are saying that we are going to travel 4 directions, it is going to be 4 into m into n. Why? Because we'll see all the 4 coordinates. And then let's say after this we are going to have the space complexity, which is going to be coordinates. Suppose let's say we have like 1 comma 1 and then 1 1 1, then there can be a scenario like it can be m into n by 2. Why? Because suppose let's say if I consider 1 and then 0 and then again 1 and then 0, and then let's say this is 0 and then 1 and then 0 and then 1, and then again it is 0, it is 1 and then 0 and then 1 and then 0. So if we consider this particular case, then we are going to say the maximum coordinates we can store is, it is going to be this one, and then as well as 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 this one. And then this is going to be our number of cells which we are going to store. And then we are going to consider, like, we are going to store 4 coordinates. It is going to be into 4, so it is going to be m into n into 2. So this is going to be our space complexity for storing the answer in this particular question. Yeah, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching the video.